When's the last time they covered anything of Malcolm-Jamal Warner?
I grew up on the #1 television show in the freaking world.
You know, he had that new podcast coming out.
Everyone, welcome to our first episode of Nah, Not All Hood.
How many of these people was promoting that son? Like, he did a whole interview with Keisha Knight Pulliam.
But I think this is probably about to be my favorite
already.
No.
I ain't see anybody talking about that. Not at all. And it's wild because the second that I heard about it, I knew it was wrong. I felt it in my bones. I felt like he had been taken.
All right, y'all, grab a seat because this tea is wild. Remember Malcolm-Jamal's tragic death that was reported as a drowning? Well, according to Jaguar Wright, there's way more to the story than the media is letting on. Jaguar alleges that Malcolm's drink was spiked on the beach and that he was lured into the water by powerful people who had been following him. And it gets crazier. Jaguar says Malcolm knew he was being trailed. And apparently, there's even a voice note from his wife warning him about it. But here's the kicker. Jaguar claims the feds are now hiding his phone because of that voice note. For context, fans and the entertainment world were stunned when news broke that Malcolm-Jamal had reportedly drowned while on vacation in Costa Rica. The story quickly spread, with outlets reporting that Malcolm was swimming with his daughter and tragically drowned while trying to save her. But that version of events raised eyebrows. Many people just weren't buying it. Malcolm wasn't just another Hollywood figure. He was known for being disciplined, principled, and unafraid to call out the darker side of Hollywood. He often spoke against what he saw as hidden agendas in the industry. So the idea that he, of all people, would suddenly take his daughter swimming at a Costa Rican beach known for deadly riptides, limited resources, and only volunteer lifeguards? Yeah, that didn't sit right with a lot of folks. The math just wasn't mathing. Fast forward a few days, and the Costa Rican Judicial Investigation Department released a statement. They said Malcolm was playing with his daughter at the shoreline when he left her out of the water and entered the sea with a friend. Both were caught by the current. The friend managed to escape, but Malcolm couldn't. He was pulled out by people on the beach, treated by Red Cross officials, but pronounced dead at the scene. And here's where it gets even more suspicious. Authorities now claim Malcolm was pulled from the water by several beachgoers. Conveniently, not one, not two, but 3 of those bystanders were doctors. They managed to save the other man who nearly drowned, yet somehow, none of them could save Malcolm.
That are deceiving.
Mike Geist helps run a volunteer lifeguard organization here. He says while no lifeguards were on duty that day, Geist's friend, who happens to be a trained lifeguard, was there to surf and discovered Warner unresponsive in the water.
You know, the first thing that they do is they bring him to the surface and give the emergency respirations.
Right there
In the water on the surfboard. And when he didn't respond to that, my friend rapidly took him into the beach and they immediately began CPR.
And y'all, as expected, this whole situation raised a lot of eyebrows. But it didn't take long before Jaguar Wright jumped in and gave her 2 cents on Malcolm-Jamal's death. From the conflicting reports to the suspicious detail that he was the only one who didn't survive. Despite being super fit and known as a strong swimmer, Jaguar had questions. And sis came with the smoke. What she said has people looking at everything very differently. According to an inside source, Jaguar is making some chilling claims. She insists this wasn't just a tragic accident. She believes Malcolm was unalived, and that the beach was the perfect setup. Jaguar alleges that Malcolm was there with his daughter, while his wife stayed back at the hotel, meaning no one was around to watch his back. She claims his drink was spiked with something that caused hallucinations, and once it kicked in, he was led into the water and left to drown. Jaguar is firm on one thing. Malcolm was healthy, strong, and a solid swimmer. In her eyes, there's no way he drowned unless something was done to him first. But Jaguar doesn't stop there. She claims Malcolm had been followed for a long time before his death. There were even break-ins at his home, and though things shifted a bit after he reported it to police, Malcolm still felt like someone was watching him. That's why, according to Jaguar, his wife always kept an eye out for him. But here's the chilling detail. On the very day he died, his wife just happened to be in the hotel room while Malcolm was on the beach with their daughter. Coincidence? Jaguar doesn't think so, and it gets even deeper. Jaguar is now demanding Costa Rican authorities release Malcolm's phone to the family. Why? Because when his body and belongings were returned, his phone was missing. Not only that, his wife's phone was reportedly stolen too. That makes the whole situation feel more like a cover-up. And people are demanding answers. Jaguar also claims the last voicemail on Malcolm's phone was from his wife, warning him that she saw strange faces staring up at their hotel balcony. She allegedly sent him a voice note telling him to be careful because something felt off. But when both phones vanished, Jaguar says that was no accident. In her words, it was a calculated move by powerful people trying to erase evidence and twist the narrative. And honestly, with so many inconsistencies, it's not hard to see why people are suspicious. The real question is, who wanted Malcolm gone and why? They allegedly followed him all the way to Costa Rica. But here's what makes him different. Malcolm wasn't your typical black actor. Time and time again, he refused to wear the dress, rejected humiliation rituals, and stayed active in Hollywood on his own terms. And let's not forget his podcast, Not All Hood, where he never held back. Malcolm often spoke out about how Hollywood and the media boxed black people into the same tired roles, recycling harmful stereotypes again and again. He called it out publicly, and that made him a target.
You don't necessarily want a black boy. What you want to do is you want to love him so divinely. You want to love him so fiercely that your disappointment will kill him. You want to adore him so much that the last thing he wants to do is disappoint you. Like, that's how the album opens. So this is
Malcolm also had a lot to say about modern hip-hop. He openly criticized how toxic and destructive the genre had become, calling out the misogyny, the glorification of violence, and the complete lack of emotional accountability.
And the reason for the title is combating the narrative of black life, black culture that the media focuses on. And
that we're all one thing.
Yeah, and the whole concept is, we're not all hood. The black community is not a monolith. There's so many levels and lanes to the black community, and we wanted to have a space where we could acknowledge, discuss all of those lanes, because they're so varied in terms of our perspectives and our opinions and our ways of life, and we wanted to be able to have a place where we can talk about all of it.
Unfortunately, the success of hip hop is predicated upon being anti-black. The messages in hip hop that get the exposure are misogyny, murder, and disrespect of fellow black people.
He wasn't trying to hate. He was calling for healing, for growth, and for the community to do better. But of course, that's exactly the kind of message major record labels want to bury. Because let's be real, they make millions off division, dysfunction and chaos in the culture. Jaguar Wright exposing the alleged cover-up in Malcolm-Jamal's death had fans talking, and the comments poured in. One person said, "Who is it? I never believed that hogwash from the beginning that he drowned. In my opinion, someone did something to him and placed him in that ocean. Point blank period. Kinda sick how he was getting random phone calls and threats. He was named after Malcolm X, and the same thing happened to him before he was murdered. Seems like they've got a playbook. They took a page from Malcolm X's murder. Sick. If the guy who went in the water with Malcolm was a doctor, he could have given him a shot that rendered him unconscious, so he couldn't swim or save himself. So now the question is, do you think Malcolm-Jamal really drowned? Or was he unalived and made to look like he drowned, just like Jaguar Wright alleges? Let me know what you think in the comments, and then check out this next video.